Well, welcome to another episode of Professor Habbens Science Cabin. And I can only assume if you're here, you must have seen the title of this one and have some curiosity of what is this Professor Habbens Science Cabin? Who is this guy? And where does this all come from? Because I'll be honest, I kind of wonder that myself sometimes. So, my name's Don Habbens. I'm a farmer here in northern Illinois. I grew up on this farm. You can see in the background. Spent my whole life here in some form or fashion. I've lived off at the farm here for, a little over a couple decades, because I did pursue some full-time employment I might touch on a little bit. But where did Professor Habbens' name come from? Where did Professor Habbens' Science Cabin come from? What is this all about? That's the question we're answering here today. So anyway, over the years, my family, especially on my wife's side, they've asked me many a question about things. And, just curious people. How's this work? Why'd the farmer do that? Or, I thought light bulbs just got tired and quit. What's actually in there that makes them a light bulb? And I've been the one that quite often I'll answer those questions, because I've always been a curious person myself. And a lot of times figured those things out, either did the research or tore it apart or whatever it took. And so a lot of questions are asked, a lot of answers were given. I'm an honest person with them, at least. If I don't know how it works, I tell them I don't know how it works. I'm not going to BS anybody, but that's kind of where it started. And after answering these questions for many years, I ended up getting them kind of leaning on me. Probably, I would say maybe about 10 years ago. They were kiddingly saying, "Oh, you should do videos on this, or you should have your own TV show," and they jokingly talked about, like Bill Nye the Science Guy, something like that, he shows neat stuff like this. And I kind of blew them off. I'm like, yeah, whatever, but I still continue to answer their questions. And in the process of those conversations, one time when they were around kind of haggling me that way a little bit, and we were talking like the Bill Nye the Science Guy thing, I believe it was my wife, could have been her sister or niece or somebody. I'm not 100% positive. But anyway, they came up with, you could call it Professor Habbens Science Cabin. It's got a ring like that. So hence, that's where the name came from. Anyway, I am not a professor. To those of you in the world that are professional teachers at these institutions and so forth, no disrespect. You've earned your way there through your knowledge and your skills, and 100% you deserve credit for that. But I just teach in my own way, and it was a catchy name, and I'll go with it. It makes them happy, so we'll go with it. So anyway, they nagged me about this. Well, I shouldn't say nag. That's probably a harsh term, but they teased me and brought up the idea. You should do this. You should do this. Kept poking at me for probably, like they said, 10 years. Here, just kind of on a whim, last fall, I decided, maybe I'll go ahead and I'll do a few of these. So I just started, filming some of those. And I kept it a secret. I didn't tell anybody, because another thing about their family is they have what they call the Christmas talent show. And every year, everybody in the family has some little fun thing they do, some little talent, couple-minute thing. And we set up, a little stage place at somebody's house, whoever's house we're having Christmas at, and watch them, watch them do their show. And my job was always, I ran the video camera. Always a little bit of pressure, hey, you should have a talent, and I always turned them down. Again, kind of like this. I really wasn't on my list of things to do, but I always turned them down. I said, no, I'm the cameraman. That's my talent. I'm the cameraman. Well, needless to say, last fall when I decided to go ahead and do some of these videos to share with family and so forth, I kept it a secret. So then when the talent show came around and they came up with they have, they make their own little playbill, if you will. And it has on there who's going to be on it. Well, I just told them there's a special guest coming that I've arranged. And anyway, so I showed my very first video that I ever did, which if you watch my videos, you'll happen to see it's the corn crib one. That's the very first one that I did, where I talked about what corn cribs are, how they work, and so forth. And anyway, they were all excited that I did it. Well, anyway, I gave them all a jump drive, had these videos on it, because honest to goodness, I did this for family. I thought it's great to kind of teach the kids, the nieces and nephews, cousins, the adults alike, grandkids, anything I can pass a little information on to, great. And then also I'm a realist. I realized as we get older, we're not going to be here forever, I'll be completely honest. I came very close to losing my life back in 8th grade. I rolled a tractor, pinned myself underneath of it, spent 5 weeks in the hospital. And that kind of opened my eyes to, you know, life can end pretty soon. You got to look at things a little differently, and you got to look at the people around you that are supporting you and realize that they're there. And so anyway, I got thinking, well, hey, maybe these videos wouldn't be all that bad, because, you know, things can happen and change your future. And, you know, these videos might be kind of cool for my future generations to be able to look back and say, hey, that was your uncle, or that was your grandpa, or that was your great grandpa, or who knows what, you know, to be able to share with them who I was a little bit. So that was another reason why I went ahead and did it. But again, 100% with the intent of this just being for family. So I shared that. I've done a couple more since then, kept them to myself. I thought, oh, maybe I'll just make another jump drive this year. And for whatever reason, I did a real quick one just the other day when we were loading out some grain. And she sent it to my wife. And it was only like a minute long. And I'll be honest with you, in my own personal opinion, it's some of my worst work, because it was just very brief. And we happened to be loading grain out of that corn crib. And it was just kind of a follow-up. Hey, look, we're taking the corn out that I told you we're going to take out. Well, for whatever reason, she got this wild idea. She thought she'd put it on Facebook. So she put it on Facebook, and a bunch of her friends saw it, and some of my friends and so forth. And a lot of people are like, oh, we want to see more. We want to see more. This is kind of fun. We want to see more. So my wife and my daughter, they kind of leaned on me and they said, hey, you really ought to do this. And I said, no, I'm not ready for that. I don't want to do this. This is just for family. But I finally decided, you know, well, maybe I should think about this. So even as I videotape this, I'm in the thinking phase, because I told them, I said, if I am going to do this, I'm at least going to have one that explains who I am, what I'm doing, why I'm doing this, etc. So while I'm still in the thinking phase, if you're watching this, pretty good chance, looks like they must have convinced me to do it, because it must be out there somewhere that you're getting this chance to see it. The other thing that's different about what I do than maybe some of your other people that you see on these type of videos and so forth is I watched my daughter. She got into YouTube for a little while. She had her own YouTube channel. She was building quite a few followers and things, but I also watched the effort that it took. And she put a lot of time into filming. She put a lot of time into editing those films, to voiceovers on them, things like that. And that's another thing that held me back on even doing this, because I'm like, that's a lot of work. And I'm not doing this as a job. I mean, this is just something to share with family for fun and education purposes. So anyway, when I first started doing my videos last fall, I think I did give or take about 10 of them there last fall. They were mostly wrapped around harvest theme. I told myself right then that the way I roll is I'm not going to spend time editing these. I'm just not. They are 100% raw footage. They are not rehearsed. It's a single shot with me, so I will promise you that every video you ever see of me, I took one shot. That's it. If I fumble up my words, it's either going to stay in there or we're just never going to publish it. One of the two. But no, it's raw footage, just the way it was. Probably the only editing we'll have to do is we'll have to give it a name so that you can, you know, recognize what the topic is about. But there is going to be no editing coming from me, because you're just going to get me just in the raw and just how it is. So that's who Professor Habbens is. Well, not really professor, but anyway. And that's kind of how this all came about. So anyway, I might do other episodes later that might touch on some more things of life experiences, and maybe how I come to be I don't want to say an expert at anything, because I'm not, you know, but kind of a jack of all trades. I've been very fortunate in my life to have been exposed to a lot of different things. And the fact that I can see we're gaining on 9 minutes here already on this video, I'm not going to go into it right now, but I may do a video if we decide to do this in the future, where I just kind of share some of my background and where I picked up on the little bits and pieces of knowledge that I do have that I share with others. And if you do decide to watch this, follow this, see what I have, feel free to comment or make suggestions, because if it fits into my life where I'm working on something and somebody had made a comment that, hey, we wouldn't mind seeing a video about how something works or whatever, and I happen to be working on that type of thing, I'll gladly make a short little clip. But like I said, there won't be a lot of editing. There won't be a lot of takes. It's going to be one shot, and what you see is what you get. So with that, I appreciate you tuning in to another episode of Professor Habbens Science Cabin. I look forward to sharing my time with you and you sharing your time with me, and what we can do with this as time goes forward. So with that, have a good day, be safe, and be kind to others. Bye-bye.